Welcome into the Thunder Basketball Universe presented by Summer Moon Coffee. We are recording today's episode on Thursday. It is January 8th. The Thunder just defeated the Utah Jazz in overtime inside a Paycom Center, a wild game that we will most certainly get to. But more importantly than that, we should just zoom out for a second because it has been a crunch of a schedule for Oklahoma City. That game against the Utah Jazz, that wrapped up a 3-game and 4-night stretch after wrapping up another 3-game and 4-night stretch going into a January, which has a cadence of basically playing every other day for 30 days.
Yeah, the Thunder had a stretch of 11 games in 19 days that included 4 sets of back-to-backs.
Yeah.
That all surrounded Christmas and New Year's. It was an absolutely wild stretch up until last night.
Yeah.
The Thunder mercifully got a day off at home, which just, it feels like this team hasn't had outside of maybe that day after Christmas, which is still a whirlwind. And so that day was very much needed heading into last night's game against the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, you mentioned that stretch of 19 days because that was right after the NBA Cup. And we've learned now over the last 3 seasons of having the NBA Cup that time of the year really creates this condensed part of the schedule right after that. And we all know January is typically the dog days of the NBA. I mean, it's cold. I mean, that's where everything's just ramped up. Everyone's kind of tired. You're reaching the midway point of the season. So it just feels a little bit more tiresome this time of year, but you add in that stretch of the NBA Cup where now the schedule has to do a little bit extra maneuvering after that, and it starts to feel a little bit more condensed than usual.
For sure, and you look around the league, it's not just the Thunder, there's injuries everywhere, and so that creates kind of a double whammy because you've got a bunch of games. As a result, guys are getting hurt more frequently, and then you have fewer guys to be able to play, and you're putting more strain and stress on those guys. So the Thunder is doing everything it possibly can to manage the schedule, to maximize it. It's part of why the Thunder's philosophy for years now has been to play as many guys as possible. The Thunder is just one of a couple teams who have 16 players this year who have played 100 or more minutes. So you think about that's every single one of the roster players who's been healthy this year at all, plus all 3 two-way guys. Of course, Thomas Sorber and Nikola Topic have not been able to play yet. But that's critical to this portion of the year in the calendar to just get through the 82 games.
And that's what we saw in the Thunder's game against the Utah Jazz. After coming off a really tough road home back-to-back, you get that day off that you mentioned, and then you go into a really challenging game against a feisty, scrappy, play-fast Utah Jazz team. And it goes to 53 minutes of action. We saw a lot of different guys getting involved. So we will get into all of that action and everything that you might have missed in that very exciting game inside of Paycom Center. But first, let's get into our Summer Moon stats of the week. Nick, what you got for us?
0. And it's not that I don't have a stat for you. It's just that the stat is 0.
That is the amount of sleep that you've had over these last 19 days.
That does track, but that's not what I'm going for here.
Okay. Is this the time left on the clock after Shai hit his buzzer beater to send the game into overtime?
Another good one, probably what I should have gone with, but no, it is related to Shai. This is the number of turnovers that he had in 42 minutes in last night's game. The guy went for 46, 6, and 6, hit the game-tying jumper to send this thing to overtime. At one point, he scored or assisted on 9 straight points to end regulation and start overtime. 0 turnovers. I mean, just unfathomable for somebody who's got the ball in his hands that much to maintain control of it and to make sure his team's getting a shot up every time down court.
I have another Shai stat. Okay. This isn't my stat of the week. It was an honorable mention, but this goes hand in hand with your stat. 119. This is kind of tough.
The Thunder's offensive rating with Shai on the floor? 119.
It's Shai.
It's Shai. The number of points that he would score if you and I tried to defend him at the same time.
Also, yes. This is the number of clutch points that Shai has this season.
Already? Oh, wow. That is a lot.
Which is number 1 in the NBA.
That is a lot of clutch
points.
That's
a lot of clutch points. Yeah. So much so that the next closest person, I believe, is Tyrese Maxey with like 98.
Wow. Okay.
So
yeah, that's a lot.
And to continue to add on to this point, the Thunder has only played in 15 clutch games this season, which isn't a lot compared to the rest of the NBA. That's on the lower end. It's like the bottom third of the league, essentially. And so the fact that Shai has 119 clutch points this season leads all players in clutch scoring, with also 0 turnovers in that clutch setting last night against the Utah Jazz, just goes to show the control that he has in those moments and the ability to not only just control and manage the game, but get good shots up and make those shots.
Okay, hold on. We really need to just drill down, because
let's do it.
If he's got 119 clutch points already, I'm going to just do a little basic math, because that's the only kind of math I can do.
It's good math.
And the Thunder's only played 15 clutch games.
Keep going.
This means that this man is averaging over 10 points in the clutch per clutch game. And just to remind you, sometimes a clutch game can be counted as a clutch game when it's only like 30 seconds of clutch time.
Yep.
So, the score dips down to 5 points, but the Thunder builds the lead back out, and it ends up being a 12-point win. That still counts as a clutch game. Yep. So what Shai is doing in clutch time is absolutely absurd.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's 7.9 points per clutch game.
Okay, all right.
It's close. It's close. And to further add on to this, he's shooting 49%. He's shooting about 50% from the field in clutch time. Incredible efficiency, getting quality looks. And to your point, the Thunder's only played in 15 clutch games this season. But to your point, sometimes it's like only 2 minutes of clutch time in that game.
Yeah.
And that means when it gets to clutch time, Shai's making a bucket to take it out of clutch time. We're done with this.
Yeah.
We're going to knock down a couple of shots. We're going to go on a quick 5-0 personal Shai Gilgeous-Alexander run and be done with this.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really been sensational. And he's not forcing anything.
No.
Right? Yeah. The play he made to Chet Holmgren last night, I know we're going to get into it a little bit more, but he's making and picking out the correct passes and playing what's in front of him, but he's working alongside of his teammates and, of course, Mark Daigneault to get to the spots on the floor that he wants to get to, and that bore out here recently.
It's really impressive, and to your point, he's not forcing anything. It's not like he's just completely taking the air out of the ball. He is getting some great shots, and a lot of those are just shots that he has made a million times, similar to the one that he shot with 0 left on the clock to send that game against the Utah Jazz to overtime. Okay, my actual stat of the week. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
22.
Not Cason Wallace's jersey number.
Nope. This is such a fun game we play.
Yeah, 22. Points the Thunder scored in the last, 5 minutes plus overtime last night?
Close. No. Okay. Well, it's not close. That number is close to that number, but that's not close to what my number is.
All right, what is it?
This is the amount of blocks that Chet has had.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Over the last 7 games.
Yeah, he's been on one.
Incredible. So he had 3 blocks in the Thunder's game last night against the Utah Jazz. A couple of them just absolutely extraordinary. Also, I want to do an honorable mention to Brandon Carlson's block.
Nice. Oh yeah, that was massive.
In the second half of that game.
Yeah.
And he was mic'd up for us. This was a complete aside here, because we just got to give our guy BC a shout out. He was mic'd up in that game last night against the Utah Jazz. Thank you for wearing that mic, BC.
Yeah, thanks.
It was really funny because we got a chance to watch the full package of him post-game. Me and Royce did in Thunder Live post-game. And I was really looking forward to hearing what he had to say after he threw that shot into the second row. He was quiet. It was whisper quiet.
I'm sure it took a lot of energy to
block the shot.
Voice that thing. Yeah.
Nothing said after that. But Chet gets a dunk, or Chet gets a block, or Shai gets a great bucket. Cason gets a steal, and he is roaring out of his seat, jumping off the sideline. And I'm like, okay, this guy is a pure teammate.
He had that moment at the scorer's table where he's like,
yeah, let's go, Chet. Yeah, Chet.
And it was a pretty good dunk, you know. It was yeah. So
but then he has this massive, and I'm anticipating this massive yell, and it's just nope, business as usual.
He's just a very kind man.
Just a really good guy.
By the way, big shout out to our FanDuel Sports Network crew, Steve Melton, Eric Date, Kyle Skinner, Chris Josephson, everybody that works in our truck. This has been new for us this year to be able to have some guys mic'd up. And we had Kenrich a few games ago.
Yep.
It really adds a dimension to the broadcast, and it's cool to feel like you're down on the court in that way. And our people have done an amazing job of gathering that footage, turning it around quickly, and getting it out on the broadcast in real time. So big shout out to you all.
Everybody in the truck putting in some great work, and we've gotten some great stuff out of it. It's been very entertaining to watch. Okay, back to Chet.
Yes.
Because he had 3 blocks in this game, so 22 over his last 7 games. What's been a common through line over these last 7 games? Chet has spent a lot of time at the 5.
Yes. Yep.
Which means he's on point of attack. He's like the primary contest on a lot of shots around the rim. And as a result, he's swatting a lot of shots left and right. And so the numbers have really popped. What I really want to focus on is the fact that the only thing that has changed is just position-wise where he is at the point of attack. His impact defensively has been consistent all season long. It's not like suddenly, oh, wow, a lot of blocks for Chet. He must be stepping it up defensively. It's the same activity we see from Chet Holmgren. It's just that the floor is very high for him. And so when he has this opportunity of being on the ball at the point of attack, he's going to swat some shots.
Yeah, and when he's playing the 4, there are different skills that are being
100%.
Amplified in those situations. I mean, his quickness on his feet and his length on, forwards or guards who are trying to drive on him, that's massive. That creates different challenges and problems. His ability to get deflections and steals and that type of thing is more apparent when he's at the 4. At the 5, though, he is demonstrating this quality, which is a critical one to him. It's one of the many reasons that he's such a valuable player is because you can flex him to either of those spots quite easily, and he still maintains his impact and his integrity as a player, and it provides different looks on offense for the opposing team to have to deal with too.
It's a great point. And one thing that's been very interesting hearing Chet talk about his blocking and his defense in general, he said he likens it similarly to shot making offensively, where just like you can get into a rhythm and a flow on offense, you can do the same defensively. And just like on offense, if you get a good shot, that required the whole team to run a good play or run some good action to get you a good shot. Similar to getting a block is it requires the entire team to funnel this guy to Chet, to the rim, so that he's in a position to block the shot. And so Chet has this really nice kind of rhythm that he has, a really good anticipation, understanding of the system to be able to get these sort of plays defensively. And it's really, really interesting to watch. Also, he pointed out just as much pride as he takes in blocking the shots, he takes just as much pride in the shots that he alters or just contests. And that number is very high if you want, because those don't show up on the stat sheet. Those do not show up on the stat sheet, but they are just as impactful on the court.
You hear players, credit their teammates for, they found me, I was open, I got some good looks. Chet is the first player I've ever heard after doing this for 15 seasons now, who credited his teammates for his own blocked shots.
Yeah.
He said, the amount of humility and team first person that you have to be to say, well, I can't get a shot block if my teammates aren't funneling, players appropriately, if they're not guarding in a certain way that prevents the driver from seeing me on my way. Most shot blockers are like goalies in hockey or in soccer, where it's like, you let this guy through, and now I gotta deal with it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And Chet's like, no, thank you for providing me this opportunity.
Great work, Lou. Yeah. Good job, really holding this guy up and making him work so that he's putting up a funky shot when he gets to me, and I just swat it out into the second row. And truly, if you. I go back to that film room session that Chet had with Royce, and there was a play where Aaron Wiggins just held up one of these guys for just enough time for Chet to get back over to get a good contest. It truly is a team effort, and Chet is a total team guy. Total team guy.
It's just cracking me up to think about the soccer goalies who make a save and then they spend the next 5 minutes
yelling
just berating their own teammates, and Chet's over here like, great job letting him get to me. I got it. I'll take it from here.
Good work, guys. Yeah, let's do it again next time.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff from Chet Holmgren, protecting the rim left and right. And the Thunder's been a little thin on the front line, and he has stepped up massively. Him and Brandon Carlson have been really fun to see them in action. All right, let's get to the Thunder's game last night against the Utah Jazz, because there's 53 minutes worth of action that we need to break down. The Thunder in this game, it was a muddy one.
Yep.
It was not pretty. This is not one that they're going to hang up on the fridge here after that game, but they got the win in the break room. like picturing the box score.
Yeah.
Like, no, it was really funny. Actually, one of these games, Michael Cage actually made in our post-game show, he made a paper airplane out of the stat sheet and just threw it off to the side. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what you want to do.
Yeah. Let's toss that one.
Let's toss that one. But that's how you have to learn to win through these sort of games in the NBA. There's 82 games. It is a long season. You are bound to encounter some games where the shooting variance goes your way and where the shooting variance is very much not in your favor. That was the case in the Thunder's game against the Utah Jazz. Shot 18% from the three-point line. Very uncharacteristic for Oklahoma City. Meanwhile, the Utah Jazz, 70 points in the paint. Just uncharacteristic for the Thunder to give up that many points in the paint. And yet, the Thunder was the team that won this one. And that's because of all the things they were able to do on the margins to walk away victorious. I'm going to add a little bit more context. In the first half of this game, the Thunder had a 20-point lead.
Yeah.
Going into halftime, Utah had trimmed that down to just 5 points. Going into the fourth quarter, the Thunder suddenly trailed by 8 points with 5.5 minutes left.
Yeah, and Paris, to your bigger picture point about the shooting variance and the things going to go your way and not go your way, this team started 24-1, and a lot of times when that's happening, it's almost like, they say a fish doesn't know that it's wet, right? Where everyone in the NBA ecosystem is not recognizing, like, the Thunder's shooting 40% from three in these games, or the Thunder's some of these things that really were going the OKC's way, the shot variance really pulling in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of takes one of these stretches where the shots aren't going down and you're not getting that shot variance to make you realize, like, oh, wait a second, there's something different about this, and it's because this tail, there's two of them. You got these two tails here, and you're experiencing this one now that makes you realize, oh, we were experiencing this one earlier.
There is an opposite end of this pendulum that could very much swing in the other direction. And the question is, can you still win on that other end of the spectrum? And the Thunder this is a really good muscle for them to build and learn through. And they talked about it at the start of the season. They want to be a team that improves through each of their experiences. Well, this is where they put their money where their mouth is. Can you learn through this experience and adapt in real time? Okay, our shot's not falling. How else can we win this basketball game?
And J-Dub said it perfectly last night after the game. He said, look, every team in the NBA, if you talk to them at the end of the season, they're going to have a handful of games that they wish that they could have back, that they know that they just didn't perform up to their standard, that they, if they had another chance at it, they would have won the game. And the key, though, is how do you absorb that?
Yep.
How do you maintain your focus and composure through that? And how do you get better through it? How much better can you get from those experiences? That's the challenge that the Thunder has laid out for itself all along for the last 6 years, is how can this team use the experiences when more often than not 3 or 4 years ago, they were having bad results on the scoreboard, but they were actually using those to get better, to get to this place where when they do have a bad result, it's shocking, right?
Exactly.
And so now there's no difference in their process or their mode of being. It's how are we using these positive experiences that we're having and the negative ones to get better through them.
Yeah, you have to be able to learn through both of them. You'd much rather learn through a win than you would a loss, but the Thunder going to take all of those experiences, react to them, but not overreact. And we have seen a very, very steady response from this group, very level-headed, very neutral response. And as a result, we see some really quality plays in clutch time when the Thunder needed it. So I mentioned the Thunder were down 8 with about 5.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter against the Jazz team that was shooting very well, that was getting a lot of production from a lot of different players. But what we saw was some great shot making from guys like SGA and from Chet, but also J-Dub, some incredible defensive possessions by all 5 guys on the court. I mean, some great rotations, some great contests, and some great rebounding.
I don't know if this was actually in clutch time, but when Kenrich Williams just straight up ripped the ball out of Lauri Markkanen's hands,
but that was fantastic.
But that was a spark, and there were just these little mini sparks throughout the second half of okay, we're going to get this. We're going to turn this thing around. And then there was a timeout in the middle of the fourth quarter. And from there on out, OKC's tenacity to pull back from down by 8 points and surge ahead and get to that spot where they could push into overtime. There was a level of fight and competitiveness and tenacity that you could see percolating throughout the course of the game. That's the mode of being that the Thunder wants to be in for all 48 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It is impossibly hard to be in that zone for 48 minutes for 82 games.
Yep.
You look around the league, you're going to see a ton of teams who are not getting to that place for even a quarter of a game.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Thunder, they were able to capture it for as long as they could last night.
Yeah.
And it was enough to get the win. Their goal is, how can we capture that for longer and longer stretches?
Is there any particular player that you want to go with first to talk about in clutch time? There are a couple that stand. I mentioned a few of them, but a couple that stand out, and one for me is Chet.
Yeah.
And the performance that he had. So in clutch time against Utah, he had 8 points. He was a perfect 3 for 3 from the field. And a lot of that, I mean, Chet had 7 dunks in this game.
Amazing.
Which is a season high. And a lot of that was him having really good connections with those guards, coming off pick and rolls, lob threat. I mean, he was getting some really quality looks around the rim.
Yeah, Chet stayed so active. And I talked to him after the game, and I said, in that overtime, he played 17 straight minutes to end the game. He and J-Dub played the entirety of the fourth quarter and all of overtime without a break. Maybe a couple timeouts here and there. And I said, Chet, it just really seemed like you were first to the ball. And Chet, the perfectionist, gave me this look like, yeah, but no. Like, I'm sure he thought of like the 2 plays that he wasn't first to the ball, but the times that it really mattered, a putback bucket, getting to his spot at the dunker spot, some loose balls, just scrapping for things.
Offensive
rebounds. Like, he really still had the juice and had the energy and was first off the floor so many times. In a game in which rebounding was a challenge for the Thunder, in the fourth quarter and overtime, Chet was actually at his best on the glass, even when he was, likely his most fatigued.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that just like it gets all this information of the game and uses it when it comes down to it. And you could tell he's absorbing all of these details, all this information, and he just kind of like hones in, laser focused in those clutch time moments. And that's why he's a perfect 3 for 3 from the field, a great offensive rebound in clutch time when the Thunder really needed it. And so the Thunder got some great production out of Chet in that overtime moment. Also, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, we had already talked about his clutch time performance, but 15 points, 5 of 10 from the field. I mean, incredible stuff from SGA.
Yeah, Shai just has such command. We've talked, about his general command, but in this game, I think that he really recognized that he needed to operate and he needed to coordinate how the floor was going to look. You noticed a few times where, the Thunder would get a defensive rebound, and Shai was very quick to come and say, like, here, let me take the ball. I know what we want to get to in this point in time. It's so valuable for the Thunder. I mean, look, you only get 2 timeouts in the final, couple minutes of the game. And you don't have these, like, in the G League, you have this, like, advance the ball timeout. Yeah. You need somebody on the floor that can orchestrate and can get you into something and can even call out a play or just run something that is going to be functional without there having to be any sort of communication about it, because there's only 24 seconds on the shot clock. And Shai has been in so many of these moments over the course of time that he has learned exactly what he needs to get to. Did every shot that he took in the final 5 minutes or overtime go in? No, of course not.
Yeah.
That didn't stop him from taking the next one and taking the most important ones, including that game-tying double clutch hanging jumper at the left elbow.
I mean, it looked like his foot slipped a little bit, like he lost his footing, and yet still knocked down that shot because it's a shot that he has made a million times, both in practice and in games. It's a shot he's very comfortable with, knew how to get to his spot, knocked it down with confidence. The play, I think it was the play before that Shai made a bucket. I believe it was either Walter Clayton Jr. who made a corner 3, or it was Lauri Markkanen who made a 3. The Jazz go up by 4 points.
Yeah.
Shai immediately, like quickest answer possible, goes down on the other end, right hand, right down the right lane, finish with the layup. And that was such a sneaky, important play for the Thunder. A, took barely any time off the clock. It was a very quick answer. But B, cut what was a 4-point lead down to 2. Now you're going from a 2-possession game to a 1-possession game. Now you just got to get a stop. Now you just got to get a bucket. Very, very timely buckets from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This is what we talk about when we say having control over the game, great game management.
A high processor. I mean, he's just a high processor of the game. And once again, we saw it on display. And again, he did it so efficiently and so effectively. 46, 6, and 6. 0 turnovers.
0 turnovers. Incredible stuff from SGA, and the Thunder walk away with an OT win against the Utah Jazz. Now 31-7 on the season. Okay, so let's get into what's brewing for Oklahoma City. Well, after a couple of games at home, they now have one quick game on the road against the Memphis Grizzlies. That's going to be on Friday. We actually have a plane to catch this afternoon, so we're going to head out to Memphis. After that game against the Grizzlies, they come home for 2 more games at home. They face the Miami Heat. Jeez, try saying that 3 times fast. They face the Miami Heat on Sunday, and then they face the San Antonio Spurs on Tuesday.
Yeah, so a nice little 2-game homestand, and that leads into the longest road trip of the season that we've seen so far, which is a 4-game road trip at Houston, at Miami, at Cleveland, at Milwaukee. A nice little loop that the Thunder's going to do to the East Coast and back.
I don't even know how I'm going to pack for that trip. Yeah, I mean, you've got like Houston, you've got Miami, so like kind of warm weather, then you got Cleveland. It's like...
Don't get your swimsuits and your parkas mixed up.
Okay? I'm going to have to pack 2 bags, like a summer bag and a winter bag. Yeah. It's just very confusing stuff.
So the schedule, though, just it rocks on. It does. It's every other day from here on out through the rest of the month. So buckle up and just all you need to know is it a game day or is it a practice day?
I have some good news, though.
What's that?
The Thunder's done with back-to-backs until February.
That's amazing. That really is huge.
That's huge.
To have 4 back-to-backs in the span of 19 days. You deserve some time here on the backside of that.
Exactly.
To be able to at least get a night of sleep in between games.
Yeah, so enjoy this until February 3rd.
Yeah.
When the Thunder has their next back-to-back. But that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much to our producer, Matt Bishop. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.